So Oleksandr Usyk will make his return to the ring at some point in the first half of next year. Okay, we know this. Originally, we were kind of hoping and thinking, I was kind of hoping as well, that it would be his last fight. Whoever he fought next, that'd be it. One and done. To kind of coincide with what he was saying at the start of the year, that it was 2 more fights and then he was done. Well, this is according to Talksport, by the way. Oleksandr Usyk's advisor reveals front runner for the next fight as Tyson Fury is snubbed. This is interesting. So, Oleksandr Usyk is planning to return to the ring in the first half of 2026 against the winner of Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. This is according to the Ukrainian's advisor Sergey Lapin, who insists his client is likely to compete. I had to read that twice. 5 more times before hanging up the gloves. I don't think that's a particularly good idea, but hey, let's carry on reading. Parker and Wardley square off on Saturday night at London's O2 Arena for the interim WBO title, as well as the interim WBA title. The WBO has ordered Usyk to face whoever emerges victorious from the bout after he was granted a medical extension in September due to a lingering back injury. Several voices, include Parker, voiced concerns that Usyk may opt to vacate that belt and go a different route. A trilogy fight with Tyson Fury has been floated around in recent weeks, with the fighter eyeing a comeback next year. It's obviously Tyson Fury. However, Lapin has poured doubts on a third fight ever taking place, as Usyk has already beaten the Brit twice. Theoretically, it's an interesting option, but for whom? Lapin told Ring Magazine. If boxing fans truly support it, then maybe. However, in my opinion, that chapter is already closed. How likely is a fight with Moses Atelma? Saudi Arabian's boxing chief Turki Al-Sheikh is keen to match Usyk with the rising star Moses Atelma. The Chatham Southpaw, I think it's Cheltenham in Kent is where he's from. Southpaw has barely put a foot wrong during his perfect 13-0 start to life as a pro in the paid ranks, and has made big statements. Made a big statement in August, blasting away Dillian Whyte in 1 round. While Usyk recently ruled out Atelma as a potential dance partner for his next fight, Lapin insists they will welcome the challenge once the precocious talent has proven himself at elite level. I can't really argue with that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say he doesn't want to fight Atelma, Lapin added. He's a promising fighter, and his team have done a great job bringing him up to this level and rankings. But if we analyse the heavyweight division, besides Usyk, there are plenty of top fighters. Atelma still needs a serious test before facing a legend. We haven't seen him go the 12-round distance yet, ? Has he been in a dangerous situation in the ring? My answer is no. Correct answer. At this stage, he doesn't have the tools to beat Usyk. And that actually, funny enough, that is the end of the article. Okay. So let's dissect this. I don't argue. Well, like, Oleksandr Usyk kind of said it jokingly about not fighting Atelma last week, and you know, that's Usyk being Usyk. You take it the way he says with a bit of a grain of salt. You know, he doesn't fight grandpas and stuff like that. You know, it's Usyk, right? He's always funny. He's always joking. That's just the way he is. You know, he's always been like that, and that's one of the reasons why we like him so much. The whole 5 fights, like he said, he wants to go till he's 41, which would therefore mean 2 years. That would mean 3 fights next year, or potentially in 27, or 2 fights next year and 3 fights the following year. I don't like that. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that he will lose in those 5 fights, regardless who they're against. I mean, if it's Oleksandr Usyk at the end of the day. If he fights, say, Joseph Parker, say he beats Fabio Wardley, or say he fights Fabio, either or, right? Say he fights them. Maybe gives Joshua a trilogy fight. Maybe Dubois fights whoever, Frank Sanchez, and he gives him, you know, you see what I mean? I can see situations where he can win all of them, but if you're talking about fighting contender after contender after contender, no, you're going to lose eventually. And Moses Atelma up and coming. If they fought now, would I pick Atelma to win? No. If they fought in 2 years after Usyk's had maybe 3-4 more fights and he softened up and Atelma's developed, would I pick him to win? Yeah, probably would. So, I don't know. I just don't understand the reason and the rationale for Usyk wanting to stay. And I've taught this for a long time with Usyk. I really did think it after the Fury rematch. You know, when he became undisputed and he said that was what he set out to do, you know, his dad's wish after, you know, the Olympics and stuff like that was for him to be undisputed heavyweight champion. Well, he did it. He achieved it May last year. I understood why he stuck around, because obviously he had the rematch with Tyson Fury. It was contracted, and fair enough, he did that. Fair enough, can't argue with that. But once you won that rematch, it then becomes, well, what do you do now? Because you're getting older, you've done what you wanted to do undisputed, you cleaned out a cruiserweight, you've beaten the perceived best heavyweights at the time in your respective division. You can add Danny Dubois onto that now, because when Usyk beat him first time, he wasn't seen as highly ranked and as highly, thought of as he was when he beat him second time. So you've done all that. What is the point in sticking around? You go and you beat Dubois again, you become undisputed again. And again, for me, it's just like, well, what? I don't understand it. I can understand having, your swan song, your one and done, your last hurrah. I get that, and I don't begrudge someone that. But I don't get it. I really don't. As for Tyson Fury, well, I like what Lapin is saying there. If boxing fans truly support it, then maybe. However, that chapter is already closed. I suspect that Turkey looks at Moses Atelma and thinks, that's who I really want Usyk in there with next, or certainly in the foreseeable future. Fair enough if he has to fight Joseph Parker or Fabio Wardley. Okay, we can maybe do that next year on a Riyadh show, although they didn't seem interested in the Joseph Parker fight when it was originally, before they announced this, but you never know. I think he's keen on matching Atelma with Usyk. I think he sees that as a bit of a passing of the torch fight. Whereas he probably sees Fury versus Usyk now, the same way a lot of fans see it, as a bit of a, been there, seen it, done it. Fury, obviously, we know what Fury is like. He pushed that fight, but it took so much negotiating. I mean, it was pushed back more than once, the first fight. It was meant to be in December, then it was meant to be in February, then it ended up happening in May. You've all this stuff with Fury. I want to do the Joshua fight. Turkey was saying that Fury retires. And I'm sure for Turkey, he's probably looking at Fury and thinking, do you know what? Like, the fans don't necessarily, they're not clamoring. They're more screaming for Joshua Fury than they are Usyk Fury 3. Why don't we do that fight? And I'm sure he's looking at the likes of Atelma and thinking, yeah, I'd rather see, because Turkey at the end of the day, yes, he's a numbers man. Yes, he wants to make a profit. But I get the impression that he is a bit of a boxing man at heart. I think boxing is one of the sports he seems to quite enjoy more so than the others that he works with, just for me from the outside looking in. So I'm sure he knows Atelma is very, very talented. We all do. And I'm sure he looks at Atelma and just thinks, you against Usyk as soon as possible. Now, I personally don't think it should be as soon as possible, but I get the way maybe Turkey is looking at it, like, yeah, get this done as soon as possible. That's where the demand is. Where's the demand for Fury? For Usyk? Not really. For Joshua? Yeah. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, and I know the president of WBC, Mauricio Sullivan, in his infinite wisdom, said that if Fury decides to come back, we'll just rank him number one immediately, which makes a mockery of your rankings. I mean, that would be, just imagine you're Adja Kabayel, your interim champion. After Parker Wardley, you're next in line. And then Fury can come back. I'm back. Kabayel, those wins you did, they're great. That status you have with us, sure would be a shame if someone took it away. That's literally what he'll do. Not Fury, Sullivan, because Sullivan is just... Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen. And it would be a damning indictment on everything boxing. Not the site Everything Boxing, just everything boxing related. Because for Fury to come back and a fight that there's no real demand for, and for Oleksandr Usyk to essentially maybe sidestep some of his challengers who've earned that right to go and fight Fury again, I wouldn't accept it for either guy. I'd be heaping bags of criticism on Oleksandr Usyk for doing it. And looking at what his manager is saying, seems like a good thing. Seems like we're not going to get it. I wouldn't have as much of an issue with a Fury trilogy if Fury came back and he beat Joshua twice, because you would imagine they do a rematch. If he beat him twice, albeit Joshua was not highly ranked, but at least if he got some wins together, I would have less... I would be more willing to accept the Usyk trilogy if he could get some wins together. Coming in off the back of a barely beaten Francis Ngannou in a 10-rounder and then losing twice to Usyk, clearly losing twice to Usyk, I can't accept him just into a trilogy. Can't accept it, can't do it, won't do it. Nor for Oleksandr Usyk to accept that either. So hearing that chapter is dead is a good thing, because it means then when Fury comes back, because he's coming back. He's coming back. It means then next year it's going to be, right, what you do when Tyson Fury, because it ain't going to be Oleksandr Usyk. So, yeah, that's what this article says. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It's an interesting read. I will say that it's an interesting read. Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. And people, until next time, peace.